What's up, everyone? I'm Grizz, and today I'm here to vote on anime awards again, but this time it is the Crunchyroll Awards. Like every other year, Crunchyroll released their nominations for their anime awards from the year of 2022, and today I am here to vote on them. Usually, Crunchyroll doesn't usually have that good of a reputation for the things that they pick, and just the different categories and nominees and stuff that they get out of it. It doesn't end up being too great, which is why I prefer to do the awards for anime trending, which I did a video on, so feel free to check that out. But we'll see what they end up having here. I don't actually know any of these. The only one I do know is the Anime of the Year award nominations, because that was like the main picture that I saw when I first went to click on this, so I already know that. If you only want to see something regarding a specific award or how I may vote on that, there would be timestamps in the description or just along the bottom of the video. Feel free to skip along and find what you need. If you enjoy these type of videos, hit the thumbs up or let me know in the comments. Feel free to also hit the subscribe, and let's just get started voting on the awards. I also might not go in depth as much on a lot of these as I did with the anime trending one, so if you do want to see me talk a bit more in depth about certain series or certain my opinions on certain things, feel free to go check out that video instead. First up, I'm going to be doing best in character design. I'm not going to watch these videos. They're 50 seconds just to show off what they are. Feel free to check those out on Crunchyroll's page or on your own time. For character design, I'm simply going to go with My Dress Up Darling on this one. I don't think things like Spy Family or Demon Slayer have very crazy or unique character design, so I'm immediately going to eliminate those. And I haven't seen Ranking of Kings, so I don't feel comfortable really picking that. And same thing with JoJo Part 6. I haven't seen that either, so I don't feel really comfortable picking those just off of that. But the JoJo character designs are something that I assume will get a lot of love and probably is going to end up winning this award. Or Cyberpunk, which I think is also the only other one I would probably vote for based on the things I've seen. But I'm going to go with My Dress Up Darling because I personally just prefer the different character designs for that. I also talked about in the other video how I prefer when it comes to character design, like constant change, where they're constantly having like to change outfits or wear different things, as well as just having like very vibrant and like unique characters, like facially, or just the builds of the characters or their hair or just accessories that they wear. And I think My Dress Up Darling does all those perfectly. I think Cyberpunk does that very well, just having good character designs, but the lack of like changing of clothes or uniqueness that really comes out of it, in my opinion, isn't there. So that's why I'm not going to pick that. Next up, we have the award for best opening sequence. Now, this is not just the best opening song. The best opening song, in my opinion, from this year was Rumbling from AOT. That was easily, in my opinion, the best opening song, and I like a lot of these for the most part. I haven't actually heard Ranking of Kings, so I don't know, but I know all the other ones. Specifically, combining both visuals and music together, I think AOT and Demon Slayer make great runs for it, and actually I think Mixed Nuts with Spy Family does great as well. I love the song for Cyberpunk, but I don't think the opening visual is very stunning or unique or different, and it doesn't really catch me like that. Haven't seen Ranking of Kings once again, so that one won't be there. My pick is going to be for your boy Kung Ming, though. There's something about it. The song is so great, but just the visuals and the vibe you get, and just watching them dance along like as the intro's going, and it's kind of chaotic, and I just absolutely love it, and that's going to be my pick. Now we have the award for best anime song, and this one is easily going to go to The Rumbling for me. I think this is the best song by far, although New Genesis makes a very, very close case and is absolutely incredible song. Rumbling is something that I find myself listening to like all the time, and I absolutely love it, and it just feels different and very unique as compared to almost everything else that you get in anime usually. So that's going to be my vote for it. Cheeky Cheeky Ban Ban is very good, and I love it. Same thing with Comedy from Spy Family. Great songs. Have not heard the Shadows House one, and I was not a big fan of the the Kaguya one. I believe that's the ED, if I'm correct, from that special episode, and I didn't really care for that at all. I'm going to go with Rumbling. Next is the Must Protect at All Costs characters. This one for me is easy. It's going to be Anya from Spy Family. I have not seen any of the other shows besides that and My Dress Up Darling on here, and Marin is not a character that I look at as a must protect at all costs character, just like as I do with Anya, so I'm going to have to go with Anya for that. Next up is for best fantasy, and this is for like establishing a world and just having a great like fantasy world. In the previous video, when it came to categories like this or best drama and stuff, I just picked the things that were on my list rated as the highest. So like say if something was number one on my list for the end of the year, I just picked that if it was in that category, because it was just the best thing from that category. However, this I'm going to change, and I wish I changed on that video, as I've kind of changed my mind a bit, and I think by reading the description that they have here for best fantasy, I'm just going to choose the show that I think has the best fantasy environment, not the overall best show. And for me, that's going to be Mushoku Tensei Season 1 Part 2. Having only seen on this list Demon Slayer and Mushoku Tensei, the choice becomes obvious for me. Also, this did come out in 2021 in the fall, so it makes me wonder, are they carrying all fall shows over into this year and then all fall shows from this year into the next year, which is weird to me, and I don't really like that. It's almost like the Grammys in a way, how I believe their voting ends in like September or October, like their deadline for being able to be nominated for the upcoming year. So everything after that gets carried over. So if that's the case, I don't like that at all. I think it should literally be any 2 core shows from the fall season onwards get carried over, and that's it. But is what it is if that's the case, because if that's the case, things like Chainsaw Man and Bocchi the Rock will not be on here at all. Regardless, Mushoku Tensei is going to be the pick here. Next is the award for Best in Animation. I'm a bit upset not to see Princess Connect Redive in here, as I think that is one of the shows that deserves to at least be nominated and looked at. With this award, I feel like this is something that the show itself, the story of the show, can't be told the same way if it isn't for the animation itself. And whereas there's shows like AOT and Demon Slayer who you can't get the same feeling and immersion as you would with the high quality like action fighting scenes that you get later on, where the other parts of the show you don't need as high quality stuff to really get that same feeling, in my opinion. Same thing with Spy Family, is I feel like the animation quality of it has nothing to do with the feeling and vibe you get out of the show itself. I'm overall going to end up picking Akiba's sailor uniform for this. I think the overall vibe and just the feeling that you get from the show, you can't capture the same thing without the way it was animated and how high quality it was by Cloverworks. And although I wasn't the biggest fan of the show, I think easily the quality of the animation raised it drastically of how well it really is. And that's why I'm going to pick it. Once again, ending sequence, pairing everything that you have with animation and visuals. Not actually putting the videos on here is kind of difficult. I wish they did. And I'm not going out of my way to relook them up. But My Dress Up Darling had very simplistic visuals at the end, and it did add to the song and match the overall vibe of the song, but it wasn't anything that was like overall stunning for me. Kaguya, I think the visuals were great, but the song itself wasn't something that I was in love with. Didn't watch Comey. And Spy Family's comedy visuals are great. Same thing with the ending for AOT. I don't know if I absolutely love the AOT song as much to mix it in, and I feel like this is an award that I have to kind of mix both of them in, although I do think AOT had the best ending visual. The song wasn't something that I was a fan of that much, and I think the best ED of the entire year comes to Call of the Night, but I don't think the visuals overall make me feel anything too crazy on that ED, so I'm going to end up having to go with comedy from Spy Family, because I just love the mixture of everything on there. But Call of the Night would easily win for song if I had to pick. Direction is a little hard for me to do as someone who doesn't really know too much in that industry and exactly everything that a director does and doesn't know so much about that art itself. It's a little hard for me to make my decision on this. I'm ultimately just going to choose what I think. I'm ultimately just going to choose something that I feel like did something unique or really elevated something in just separate ways. And it might sound a little weird what I'm thinking because I don't really know the proper way to vote on this, but I'm going to end up going with Cyberpunk here. Next up is for Best in Action. Considering Chainsaw Man is not on here, I am assuming all the fall stuff got carried over completely. AOT Final Season Part 2, I don't think had anything action-wise that was like stunning to me or like very like crazy. I don't know. They had that back end couple episodes, but that stuff wasn't really crazy to me. It was more just set up. Didn't watch Stone Ocean, so cannot vote on that. I've seen all the other ones. The Spy Family has very minimal action stuff going on, so I definitely won't pick that. And Licorice Recoil, the appeal of the show wasn't the action itself to me, so I'm not going to go with that. Which leaves Cyberpunk and Demon Slayer themselves. I think the amount of stuff regarding action that Cyberpunk was able to fit in within 10 episodes was excellent, and I would love to go with it just for that, but I think the bar that Demon Slayer set with like their last couple episodes, like in their animation and everything that they had going for them, I think those scenes were definitely the most intense and most just visually appealing and something that just like immersed you so much into it. And I'm gonna end up going with that one for this. For Best in Romance, I'm specifically going by the definition that Crunchyroll provides themselves, which is basically at the end here with their hopeful messages of these shows find a way to make you believe in the power of love. And And I'm going to vote for Love After World domination for this one. Shikamori is not just a cutie, was god awful in my opinion, and absolutely should not win anything. Shouldn't have even been nominated, truly. And Komi Can't Communicate, I didn't make it the season 2 because I hated season 1 so much. Love is War doesn't do anything on the romance end that's very like consistent. Like the whole show wasn't based on that. The whole show for season 3 was same of season 1 and 2 until you get to the back end final arc, really, and then they had like 2 episodes that were like really felt focused around romance. So overall, I don't think it's the same as like, I don't think it's deserving of necessarily romance. I think like if you made rom-com a category or just comedy, sure, but romance itself, no. Which would leave me with Call of the Night. Call of the Night, I think, follows the description pretty well. And My Dress Up Darling, I think, does very well. It provides you with hope of a guy who doesn't really have much in Gojo, who finds somebody who is basically his everything and helps him bring him out and show him the world almost, right? But it also gives her somebody who might be missing something in her life, which is him. And I think that's also excellent. I think that's something that should get a lot of votes for this. I think Call of the Night's something else that should get a lot of votes for this, as it shows somebody, Nazuna, who has no real interest in anything like this and is just trying to have fun and not worry about things relating to romance, have to come to terms with herself and realize that she has to start focusing on something like this to protect somebody that she cares about around her. But like I said, Love After World domination is going to be my pick. I think the main 2 characters, like determination to be able to see each other and have like a romance, even if they have to hide it, while being on complete opposite ends of the world and being on not the world, but on complete opposite ends of what they're supposed to stand for and who they're supposed to be, but still trying to find ways to make it work because they truly love each other and care for each other. And I think it made for some really just cute moments and overall deserves to win this. For best new series, I'm gonna just stick to my rankings and I'm gonna have to go with Spy Family for this one. I have Spy Family at number 3 for this year, and I have My Dress Up Darling at 4, and Call of the Night at 5, and Licorice Recoil at 6, so all of them are kind of in an order, but Spy Family is at the top of that list, so it would have to fall in this category as being best new series. Best score for me, I'm just gonna go off of the most memorable soundtrack and things that happen, and as I didn't see Made in Abyss, although I have heard the music in it is god tier, I'm gonna go with Cyberpunk Edge Runners here, as I think it had probably the best insert song within the year, and also just having a great OP, ED, and just music to match the overall vibe that you get from the show was absolutely perfect. I think main character is a bit unfair to have something like AOT in here, as it talks about the development of the characters and the journeys that they go on, and something like AOT having like 100 episodes total. Of course, Erin's gonna have the most full developed character in this list, so I don't really like that idea, and I'm just not gonna vote him for that purpose. I was not a big fan of David from Cyberpunk. I'm not a big fan of any of these nominations, really, to be honest. I'm gonna regretfully go with Marin from My Dress Up Darling here, and I don't really have a real reason why. I just don't think Lloyd's like a very crazy character that we've gotten like a lot of backstory or things from that we've heard, and I haven't seen Ranking of Kings, so I can't talk about Boji. And Chisato and Marin make good runnings against each other for me, but I don't really know how to handle this one, so I'll just go with Marin. I do expect Erin to win that pretty handily though. For best comedy, it's a little difficult for me between Love is War season 3 and Spy Family. I believe this is only core 1 for Spy Family. If it's for both cores, I'm easily just going to go with Love is War, but if it's for the first core of each of them, it's very difficult. The first core of Spy Family was absolutely hilarious, but Love is War is Love is War, and I almost have to go with that. Best VA for Japanese here, we're gonna have to Made in Abyss and JoJo Part 6 are not gonna be here as I haven't seen them, so I cannot speak too much on their performances. From the ones I see, I believe that's Anya's VA from Spy Family, Chisato's from Licorice Recoil, Tanjiro from Demon Slayer, and Erin from AOT. I've never really thought Erin's performance was like insane, where he seems to like always get a lot of praise and awards, Yuki Kaji that is, for it, and I've never really overly thought it was like the greatest thing I've ever heard. I think it's very good and better than a lot, but I don't think it's like crazy. I don't know why Tanjiro got voted for this even in the slightest. That makes no sense, as I think the 2 villains of that arc both had performances that blew him completely out of water, and one of them should be nominated instead. I think Anya's performance is fantastic, and she does it really, really well, but I think I'm gonna go with Chika Anzai for Chisato. Something about bringing Chisato to life and making her such a lovable character, and I think her VA did an excellent job of that, but she also did a really good job at nailing like the serious moments and toning her down when she had to, so I'm probably gonna have to go with her for that. I think there were other performances like Koga Oi for Kaguya, like she does every year, absolutely kills it. My personal pick would have been for Rita Takahashi as Anzu and Romantic Killer, but seeing this is what we have to work with, I'm going to go with this one. Best continuing series, I strictly am just going to have to follow my rankings by all the sequels here, and that's going to be Love is War Season 3, which I think reached new heights, especially in the rom-com genre that we really haven't seen. I don't think Part 2 of AOT was as strong as Part 1, although it did have like 3 of the best episodes within the series. I just don't think it was overall as strong, and Demon Slayers was absolutely excellent, especially the back end, but I don't think it was as consistent throughout the whole thing as something like Kaguya was. One Piece, I'm reading the manga and I'm not even caught up right now, so I can't even speak on that too much, but I'm gonna end up going with Kaguya Season 3. This is the same situation that happened during the Anime Trending Awards now here with Best Anime Film, as there is once again only 3 that I've seen on here, and I was not a big fan of any of them, and I won't be voting for any of them for that reason. I am disappointed to not see things like Laid Back Camp on here though, for whatever reason it wasn't. The supporting character awards are very weird to me, as the word supporting makes me think somebody like Ai Hayasaka from Love is War, where she's such a good support as to somebody like Kaguya, but the overall description of it is just somebody who shines as bright and as a supporting character, maybe even overtakes her, is on the same level as their main character, and Hayasaka is not on that same level as Kaguya at all, so she doesn't win that award for me as well. Same thing with somebody like Rebecca from Cyberpunk, who I was probably my favorite character within that series, but I don't think it was very difficult for her to reach that level, because I don't think somebody like David or Lucy were very good characters, or like very great characters as it is, which makes it kind of hard, because I don't think any of the main characters in any of these series here were absolutely fantastic that it was like difficult, or it was like impressive that these other characters are as good, you know? Like, I don't like Tanjiro too much. I'm not the biggest fan. I think he's just okay, so Tengen reaching his status isn't that hard for me to see, and I'm just gonna go with Anya for this one, as I think she was the shining point of that entire show. I love Lloyd a lot, but I think Anya was the shining point. So best in drama, this is incredibly easy for me at seeing it on here. 86 Part 2, easily. Nothing on here even comes close to it, in my opinion. The things that I felt going through that experience of that show, it doesn't even come close. The only ones I really expect to come close is AOT or Cyberpunk. Those 2 will make like good runnings, but I think 86 is far and beyond better than both of those. Best anime original, I've only seen one, but it was great, so I will vote for it, which is Licorice Recoil. Ultimately, it leaves us with our final award of the year, Anime of the Year. Having seen 5 out of the 6 nominations on here, and not seeing either my 1 or 2 from this year on this list is highly disappointing to me. Although my number 1 anime, Bocchi the Rock, was for fall, so it doesn't fall in this category at all. Regardless, my number 2 was Love is War Season 3, which is unfortunate to not see it on here, especially considering AOT Final Season Part 2 makes it somehow. As I said before, I think AOT had some of the heights that the series has really reached with a couple episodes within that series, or within Part 2, but I don't think it was as strong as Part 1, and it was nowhere near Part 3, so why would it deserve to reach the status of Anime of the Year is weird to me. I think Demon Slayer reached its highest peak, and I think, having, as somebody who has read the manga, I think that's as high as it's gonna get, and I think that makes a really good case for why it should be on here and why it should win. I've not seen Ranking of Kings. Cyberpunk Edge Runners was a show that I was absolutely in love with through the first 6 episodes, and I think episode 6 is the greatest episode that we saw from 2022. However, despite the popular opinion of everyone thinking it's a great sad ending and was in pain afterwards, I literally despised the final 4 episodes of the series. I thought they were terrible and did not like the way that they handled it at all, and did not get that same feeling that everyone else did, which was really unfortunate to see a show that I was really loving so much all like that to me. but things happen, and that's why I won't be getting a vote from me. Licorice Recoil, I think, is great, and it does everything it needs to while not being very rich in story. Has amazing characters, character designs, and just dynamics between all the characters that make it so vibrant and come to life and enjoyable. But my pick for anime of the year is Spy Family. I think this is specifically core one, but even if it's a combination of the both, I still put it higher than any of these other ones on here. With great, interesting, unique characters, good animation, great comedy. A lot of the times it's things that are predictable and you can see coming, but somehow they throw a little twist on it. Or even if they don't throw a twist on it, it still has the ability to land perfectly. Easily would have to be my choice for anime of the year. However, I see Demon Slayer, AOT, and Cyberpunk being the top three in voting, because this is like a very mainstream popular award thing, and those are the ones that I see people getting the most votes for. And with that being done, those are my picks for the 2023 Crunchyroll Anime Awards. Honestly, not too bad. I think for a majority of it, they put some decent picks. I think some things were completely wrong. I think some things could have used other ones. Not having the fall thing is weird to me. I think those should easily be on there every year. That makes no sense to me. It should only be 2 core shows that don't carry over. There seemed to be an insane love with giving Cyberpunk, AOT, Demon Slayer, and Ranking of Kings nominations for literally every award, even when I don't understand why they would be on some of them. I think it's weird that things like, despite me not watching a lot of them, something like sports didn't get a category or a nomination in that. I'm glad to see they got rid of the best protagonist and antagonist awards because of how horrendous the nominations were last year. Overall, though, they weren't as bad as they have been in the past, and I think that's a good thing, but it is a bit unfortunate to see some of the things get placed on awards for this, especially some of them when they have such like long ongoing series, and then people like Aaron get listed under like characters that have like most like dynamic sides and development to them. It's just a little weird to me, but we'll see what happens. I recommend you check out the anime trending nominations and the award show that they have for that in February instead, as I think they do a much better job and give you a much broader area for you to vote with more nominations in every single category. And it shows love to a lot of shows that weren't as popular throughout the year and aren't as mainstream. Even if those characters may not win, some of them did receive nominations for certain things on there, and I think that's a great thing. Check it out if you want. That's all I got from me. Let me know down below if you thought they did a better job this year with nominations. What awards were you voting for? Is there anything that you're really pulling for to win a specific award, or is there something that's just getting a lot of your votes? Let me know. A like and a subscribe would mean a lot to me. In the description, there's links to my Twitter and my anime list. Feel free to follow me on Twitter and add me as a friend on Mal. Also, feel free to check out the reactions on the channel. Right now, we're doing Vinland Saga and Tokyo Revengers Season 2 for both of them, as well as the past reactions we've done before, and the previous award video for Anime Trending. That's going to be all from me. Have a good one. Peace.